Okay, so this tutorial is going to be how to use Adobe Audition to do a radio commercial. So if you've downloaded the files from the website, here's the script, and then here also are the files themselves that you're going to work with. Here's the script where I just double-clicked it to launch it in Microsoft Word. So on this side of the script, you're going to see all of the voiceover, the script actually that is written. It's going to be read. It's already pre-recorded right here in the Pierpoint VO. VO stands for voiceover. And then here's all the sound effects and music that's over on this side. And the way it works is this sort of times together, where this happens, this sort of happens, and then when escape to spacious, comfortable suites, you hear the seagulls. Then the waves fade out after this line, and the birds fade in here, and these lines continue, and these sound effects kind of line up in these general areas here. So that's kind of how you use the script. Now, the voiceover has been pre-recorded, and the music and sound effects are all provided for you. So this is more of a matter of how you put it together in using Audition. Now, the first thing we want to do is once you have recorded your voiceover, and you want to get it to within about 2 seconds of the allotted time. So if it's a 30-second spot like this is, you want to get it to the self-recorded voiceover just somewhere between 28 and 32. So that's within 2 seconds of 30. So it's either 28 is 2 seconds below, of course, and 32 being 2 seconds over. And when it's like that, you can use some of the speed controls that are inside Audition to, bring it into the right place, the right length without it sounding funny. But if you get it too short, like below 28, or too long over 32, then you pretty much got to re-record it. But we're going to work with what we were given here, so let's jump right into it. So went ahead and opened Audition. Now Audition has two interfaces. There's a multi-track and a waveform. First, we're going to work with clean up the voiceover, so we're going to go with the waveform, and it's going to ask us what we want to call this. So we're just going to call this Pier Point VO, and I'm just going to call it fixed because we're going to fix it. And I'm going to say OK, and that opens this track here in the waveform track, and we're going to go ahead and import it. So we're going to go File, Import, File, and we're going to go out to the desktop and go down to the folder that has the radio commercial practice and Pierpoint Resort, and we're going to get the Pierpoint VO. And when we open it, okay, it comes over here into our little piece here, into our little project files, and we're going to drop it in here. So it takes up the whole window. Now, this is called a waveform. It's a visual representation of the sound. Where this is taller up here, it's louder. Where it's shorter down over here in these areas, it's more quiet. What you're seeing here actually is noise. This is noise. If I play this just by itself, I'm going to just click there with a mouse and just hit the space bar to play it. You hear that's the background noise of the room I've recorded it in. So click here again, you're here to the beginning. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get rid of that. So we're going to get rid of that first. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight just the noise, and we're going to just play it. Now that it's highlighted, just make sure we haven't selected any voice in there. Okay, so that's just background noise. Now we're going to go to our effects, and we're going to go to noise reduction and restoration. And the first thing we're going to do is capture that noise print, the noise print of the noise, so we know what we're getting rid of. So now we click it, and it said, as a noise print, use the next time for noise reduction effect. So this is just reminding you that you're only capturing what the noise sounds like. Now once that's been done, you can select the whole thing, but it's easier to use the keyboard shortcut Command A or Control A on a PC to just select the whole waveform. Now you go back to effects and go to your noise reduction, and this time you're going to noise reduce it and process it. And here you've got some options. What you can do is just preview it as it is, and you'll see that noise is
3, 2, 1. Sometimes you just need to get away from it all.
And you'll see here at the beginning that the noise is almost completely gone. It's a little bit there.
3, 2, 1. Sometimes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to boost up the noise reduction just a little bit more. You got to be careful with this though, because you may start eating into the sound of the voice, but let's see if that's okay.
You just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pierpoint Resort. Escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty good. So we're going to apply, and you're going to see this noise going to flatten out quite a bit. So you see, it's not completely gone, but it is flattened out quite a bit from what it was. We could even do it again. If we come here and just select it again, just listen. There's still some noise in the background. Let's select some of this at the beginning. Go to that humming. So let's go back to effects and noise reduction and capture that noise print. And it's reminding you it's just capturing the noise print. And again, Command A or Control A to select it all. And let's go and apply the noise reduction, process it, and let's listen.
3, 2, 1. Sometimes you just need to get away from.
And that's even better. So let's go ahead and apply that and see it flatten out even more. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut off this 3, 2, 1. So we're just going to click here and just pull back and hit enter and just make sure we didn't cut any off. Just play it.
Sometimes you just need to get away.
And we're good to go there. And then here at the end, we're going to click toward the end and see if there's any rustling at the end after the last word of the script. And let's go back and see what that is. Okay, and it's for reservations. It's right after the phone number. So 5121. So and there's right after that. So here we go.
954-776-5121.
So it's right about there, and I'm rustling the mic pretty good there. So I want to try to get rid of that. So let's see if we can do that.
5121.
Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to just save this out. So we're going to do File, and let's export it as a file. And this is the Pierpoint VO. We're going to call this fixed. Okay, we're going to put it in our same project folder. So we're going to go back to the desktop. We're going to go to the Radio Commercial Practice and Pierpoint Resort. That's going to be our project location, and we're going to save it there. Okay, and it's going to have all of these settings. So we're going to say OK. Now we're going to switch over to our multi-track, and when we switch to our multi-track, we're going to call this Pierpoint Resort ICA, and make sure that it's also going into on our desktop. And let's send it back to our Radio Commercial Practice and the Pierpoint folder, and that's where our project is going to live. And we're going to say OK. So now we're in the multi-track view. So we're going to take our VO here that we fixed, and we're going to drop it in here on this very first track. So we're going to pull it in here and bring it all the way to the left and let go. And it's going to ask to change the sample rate because the project has a higher sample rate. So we're going to say OK with that. And let's just listen to it.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pierpoint Resort.
Okay, so that's pretty good. One of the problems I see with this, though, is it's a little bit loud. You just want your voice on all kinds of audio for audio and video. If it's a voice talking, you want it to be at about -6, and this is up at about -3. So let's look at that again.
Escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views. Escape to ocean-front penthouses with secluded terraces for.
Well, it's kind of managing around there, but let's bring it down a little bit. Let's just click on this volume. Here it's at 0. Now in digital audio, 0 is not no sound. 0 is no change from the way it was recorded. So if we bring it up into positive numbers, we're making it louder. If we bring it down into negative numbers, we're making it quieter than it was recorded. So we're going to click here, and we can just type -2. We could have drug it with the mouse a little bit, but it gets a little hard to be exact with that. So I'm just going to bring it down by 2 and just play it again.
Private sunbathing and proven methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't.
So it's a little more closer to averaging around 6. It just took a little bit of the edge off. So let's go back to our script, and we'll see that we've essentially laid this part of it down. Now the first thing that comes up is the music, but you never put that next. You want to go with all your sound effects next. So that's what you want to go. So as soon as this comes up, we're going to go with the calm waves. So let's go ahead and we're going to import our calm waves in. We can pull this down to give ourselves a little more space, but we're going to right click or control click, or we can use a command, or we can say file, import file. And we're going to go back out here and we'll get our calm waves and open that up. And we're going to drop our calm waves down here on the second track. Okay, and again, it's changing the sample rate. Just we don't have to say don't show it again. That's fine. We just know it's going to do it. And let's hear what this sounds like.
Aren't necessarily.
Okay, now let's just mute. We'll just solo it. If we hit S, remember it just plays this track and nothing else. So let's go back to the beginning and let's hear what it sounds like with our voiceover. Okay, now that's going to be pretty loud, but let's unsolo it so we hear them both together.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pier Resort.
Okay, so let's bring this down about -12. I'm just guessing. Okay, and let's see what we get.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pier Resort. Escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views. Escape to ocean-front penthouses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing.
Okay, I'm okay with that. So -12 was a pretty good guess. Let's just leave that for now. But let's also remember where these waves are going to fade out. So let's go back to the script. And they're going to fade out right about here where it says after for secluded terraces for private sunbathing. So let's find that line. Let's get up here.
Escape to oceanfront penthouses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing.
Right there. So that's about right there. It's going to fade out. So let's hit the / key on the keyboard to see the whole waveform. And if we grab the end of it with this little tool, and sometimes you have to move down just a little bit to get this sort of trident looking tool, and you're going to bring it back to here and just let it snap to where the playhead is. And then if you hit / again, you'll see this. Now we want it to fade out here, so we're going to actually carry it a little bit past where it needs to be done, and then we're going to grab this fader and just drag it, and you'll see it puts a nice little soft fade. So if we play it now, you'll see it fades right out.
Houses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing and proven methods of relaxation therapy.
That's nice. Okay, so now let's go back to the script and see what comes in. So the calm waves fade out and the forest birds fade up. So let's go get our forest birds. So we're going to go, let's make this a little taller here in the interface so we got more space here. File, import, file, and we're going to get our forest birds. And let's drop them in here. Again, bring them all the way to the left. But they're going to actually start here, so let's overlap it just a little bit. And let's play it from here. And again, let's just solo this to see what we get. Okay, now they're actually kind of low. So let's bring this up about +6. I'm just going to type a +6 in there. Maybe not quite enough, +8. Okay. Okay, and again, we want them to kind of crossfade with the waves here. So as the waves go out, we're going to pull this a little bit and get this kind of crossfade effect happening here as this is fading down, this is fading up. Okay, so let's unsolo it and let's just play the transition point and see what we get here.
Houses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing and proven methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier Resort.
Okay, so that's pretty good. All right, so now let's see what our next one is here. We have the champagne cork and pour, and that happens right here. We say, and proven methods of relaxation therapy. So let's find that line. It's right here.
Proven methods of relaxation therapy.
Relaxation therapy. So right there at the end of that line, that's where the champagne cork is going to go. So let's import it in. File, import. File, and let's go to the champagne cork and pour. Okay, and let's go get that and drop it right here. Line it up, and let's play that and see what we get.
Methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures.
Okay, so that's pretty loud. So let's back this off about -8, and let's see how that sounds now.
Proven methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the...
I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut this right here. So we're going to make a cut so we can make that this part be quite a bit lower. So let's go ahead and use the razor tool. And let's just cut right here after the pop. Okay, and this one part here, if we just zoom in, and we can just hit the plus key a couple times to zoom in. And we're going to get the volume control of this and just, let's bring this down about another maybe -3. Let's see how that plays.
The relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found.
And let's bring this up just a smidge, maybe up to about maybe +2.
Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda.
There we go. And this doesn't need to fade out quite that long or be that long, so let's just put a nice long fade on it there. Okay, and then to get back to the whole view, you hit the backslash key. So now let's go back to our script, and the birds are fading out here, and the glasses clink after they finish the pour. So let's go get the glass clink. File, import, file, and glasses clink. And let's take this and put it right about here. Let's hear how that sounds.
Agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier.
Let's move it down just a little bit.
Of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda.
Okay, let's do the little ding right after agenda. Is that where it finds? On the agenda. So it's right before agenda. Let's see how we like that.
Relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier.
Okay, so let's bring this back just a little bit. So let's trim this back to match it, so it's not so pouring while the glasses are clinking. And let that fade happen there. And then this is a little loud, so let's bring it down about -4. And let's save our project. File save. Okay. And this is telling us that one or more files are not in the session folder, so we're going to say yes. We're going to move them in there so a copy's there, and let's play it.
Methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier Point Resort. For reservation.
Okay, so there we have it. Now what we want to do is we want to go back to the script, and the last thing we're going to do is put in the music. Okay, so let's go back and let's import the music. File, import file, and the music is here as we go. Now the music's going to be way loud, but we're going to scroll down here so we can get in a nice track for it here, and we're going to bring down in here. And did we import that? Yes, we did. Here we go, music, and put it in here. Now, there's a little bit of empty space here, so I'm going to move the playhead back to the very beginning and zoom in, hitting the plus key a few times on the keyboard. And then I can just use, if I switch to this little tool here, this time selection tool, I can select this part of the music that's just flat. So it's just silence and just get rid of that. And then go back to the move tool and just drag this forward so the music starts right when everything else starts. And we know the music is going to be super loud, so we don't want to have that. So let's go down and just start it off at -15 before we even try anything else. And then we hit the backslash key so we can see everything. And we're going to trim this down to 30. So we're going to bring it down to about 30. And then when we hit the backslash key, we can really see where 30 actually is. And let's bring this back to 30. Let's park the playhead right on 30. So we know we're right at 30. And then we can bring this right down. And we'll put a nice little about a 2-second fade on it. So we'll bring this back down to about 28. Okay. And then we'll hit the backslash key. And let's play it and see what we get. And we gotta balance the music. So we're gonna go up and down with the music as we go.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pier Point Resort. Escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views. Escape to oceanfront penthouses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing. And proven methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier.
The music's a little loud, so let's go -17. I thought that the birds could go up just a little, so let's change them to -6 from -8, so they went up by 2. Let's change that to a 6. And I think that the pour was kind of okay. So let's take the music to -18 actually. 18, okay, now let's see how that works. Let's go back home. and play again.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pier Resort. Escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views. Escape to oceanfront penthouses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing. And proven methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier Resort. For reservations, call 954-776-5121.
Let's make that fade at the end just a little bit longer. So let's go in here and just grab that fade handle and just make that a little longer. And let's bring up the sound of the glasses clinking from -4. Let's put that on -2, and I think we're pretty done. So I'm going to save our whole project. Okay. And then we're going to hit home and play it one last time.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pier Resort. Escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views. Escape to oceanfront penthouses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing. And proven methods of relaxation therapy. Escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Rediscover the pleasures of South Florida living at Pier Resort. For reservations, call 954-776-5121.
Sounds good. Okay, so now we're going to export it. So now we're going to go to File, Export, and we're going to do a multi-track mixdown of the entire session. And we're going to browse to where it's going to go. And it's going to go on our desktop where we downloaded everything to. Here's the radio commercial practice. Here's Pier. So we're saving it here. That's just telling it where it's going to go. And we're gonna tell it to be what type of file. This is a WAV file, but I think SoundCloud only accepts MP3s. So we're going to come down here and change it to an MP3 format. And we're going to say OK. And that did it. So now we're just going to hide this. Just Command H. And when we go back over here to our folder and inside our Pier, we should be able to find a Pier mixdown file, Pier Resort mixdown. And I'm going to open this with QuickTime Player and just listen to it.
Sometimes you just need to get away from it all. Escape to Pier Resort. Escape to...
Okay, we don't need to hear the whole thing again, but that's it. Okay, and then you take this MP3 file, you upload it to SoundCloud, and then you copy the URL from SoundCloud and you embed it in your ICA's page. And you're calling this Pier Resort ICA and today's date.